Thank you. Yoma Dazin Kebo de Zain, Yandu Tazin Langa Tenyeto, Yevin Tansin, the Sea Tendo. Chanchu Doji Jola Zova and the Lama Karma Angela Zoya Dancing Oye Angela Gurmijula Jeva Angela Jumenando Gavaraje Dwaranza Java Tambe chinda second and Tanya Jeba Zavanyam Sambazoni, Yadda Jebarum Body Salta December, Tela Consemba Zawe June. So, please generate in bodhicitta, thinking that today and tomorrow, this weekend session is for the benefit of all sentient beings to achieve enlightenment, and that is very extremely important, generating bodhicitta. And good morning. I had good sleep, I had good morning, I had good food. So I feel like I'm a good practitioner also, you know. As Patrick Rinpoche said, that, you know, when you, the weather is good, conditions good, everything goes well, and you can be a good practitioner until you encounter difficulties. And good morning, Zoomers. My creation, I don't know, it's like I live in, I say, Woodstockers, New Yorkers, Zoomers. Why not? And personally, you know, I feel must be blessing of our teachers, Judge Tonga his own Kamapa, and Khenpo Rinpoche, even have the merit to say a name of the great master Khenpo Gangshar, you know, and absolutely, I'm not qualified to describe his songs, but there's always have but, you know. But transmission is, I think, everything, because our teacher, or one of my important teacher, Judge Tonga Rinpoche, gave the whole collection of teachings of Khenpo Gangshar online transmission, and I was able to receive the whole kambum, we call, you know, the collection teachings of Khenpo Gangshar. And I believe I didn't fall to sleep. You know, sometimes on Zoom, you know, you try to, and but I can't promise about that. But my motivation was good. I was like, wow, this is happening, you know. It's Khenpo Gangshar's teachings plus there was very special connection with the Tonga monastery, because my uncle and my teacher, Khenpo Kata Rinpoche, when he was in the retreat, Khenpo Kansha visited, in person. And so he said that, he the moment he saw Khenpo Kansha, he felt like really seeing in like Telopa or Mahasiddha walking in. And of course, Rinpoche never saw Telopa. Well, relatively, we don't know, his practice and visions much. Telopa was like Mahasiddhas, like, wear the ornaments of the bones and like that. But the pure perception, there's like it's not an individual a guru in such flesh and bones or such like, but because he was so liberated mentally, and when Rinpoche saw him, like, okay, this is a real Mahasiddha meeting in, like, sometimes we call Chebje Rinpoche or Gurus Vajra Dara, they don't walk like a blue collar and, holding bells and doje and, like that, have all the ornaments, not like that. It's just their mind is liberated, seeing their minds, seeing three kayas, as we normally say that, we have all this, emotions and stress and, all of this. And, the great masters like Khenpo Kansha or others kind of see in these three kayas, like when you emotion arise, and for us, like there's the emotion arise, and then there's the stress happens. And for them, it's like a little bit of like steamy kind of feeling, but transparent, but also like become the support for your primordial wisdom. And so Khenpo Kansha, of course, he was very, very kind of good, like a Vinaya holder, and he was just a very, very special master and scholarly. And but then all of a sudden, he changed his behavior and his teaching style, because it was he kind of predicted there will be the revolution and Tibetan people go through tremendous suffering, and he basically asked them to utilize those fears, because the revolution was real and there was a lot of unpredictable conditions and so much emotions, fears. And so Khenpo Kansha used the method to utilize those fears to become the tool to realize the nature of mind. And so that's why Khenpo Kansha was, very, very special. If someone doesn't, like give you a preliminary teaching of such, you just want to, kind of click on your emotional feelings, because sometimes when we meditate, like we say that we rest your mind right now, right this place, right this very moment, in the presence of mind, which is, 24 hours with us. And scientifically, they said that we normally could have like 60,000 thoughts a day. Right, 60,000. Wow, we are rich. 60K. But none of them liberated, unfortunately. And so that is so important. The Khenpo Kansha's teaching is not waiting to liberate. So when we meditate, person like myself, I want to meditate, and then I want to wait until my mind calms, and just to keep waiting, and then nothing happens, right? For a while you get to, even you have more thoughts, because you can't liberate your thoughts, and then you remember all things that you have to do. So that's why sometimes people, whether your right hand or left hand, they put the list down, okay, I have to do this. While meditation, you remember a lot of things. But I do want to read a little introduction by Jagyu Rinpoche, about Khenpo Kansha, and then I share more because the Khenpo Kansha biography there's not really like a intensive biography, and also this book is and both Stephen Trace, right? You guys work on this, so this is a very special collection of songs. And today I will be giving only one session. It's called Money Song, and it's a Omani Pimao, not money song. But I would like to read Jagyu Rinpoche's introduction in this book. And Khenpo Kansha Ombo was a Mahasiddha who appeared in Tibet at a time of great upheaval. He predicted the difficulties that lay ahead and advised people to go to the secret lands. Most people thought that these secret lands were places that they needed to travel to. However, this is not what he meant. Rather, he meant that we need to go to a Nirmanikaya, Sambhogakaya, and Dhammakaya pure lands. So this is not something like a location of the pure lands. And as I mentioned earlier, that when we have experience thoughts and when you begin to have emotions, whatever thought arise, and naturally or primordially and innately, there's no thought arise, and it's always liberated in its nature, and that is Dhammakaya. And then yet thought never ceases, constantly, arise, constantly have all these feelings, but they are manifesting and perfect example, like as Nagarjuna said, that ropes, like when you generally, if there's a rope, that rope can be bound you because it's a solid ropes. But if you burn the ropes, and then it does look like a rope, but this is all ashes, so it cannot bond you. Which means that, when we experience thoughts and, the moment you remain in silent, because the thoughts in nature is silent, and then also thoughts nature is always liberated. And then thoughts arise, but they don't accumulate negative karma. They just like burnt ash. Just, doesn't bound you to in samsara. That's the knowledge. So, whether believe or not, we are always in that field of natural liberation. But the only problem is that because we are not aware that, and sometimes we have a hard time to believe because emotions are real, stress are real, and it feels like very dominating. And the more you feel dominate, and they will dominate. There's no way, excuse me, sense of, peace until what he mentioned about three kayas, that in its nature, it's always liberated, the moment thought arises. So a practitioner, a meditator, if you utilize the thoughts, every time you have feelings or thoughts arise as a reminder, instead of bothering us. And so that's why, Khenpo Kansha teaching is so valuable, because normally I would definitely say, someone born in Tibet and, it's just very quiet in Tibet, it's isolation and a lot of support for meditation. But when you arise these conditions like upheaval, the revolution, and people have a lot of fear because it has to do with your life or such, and life danger. So they, Khenpo conscious says, so, just utilize those fears, don't follow them. Just, and then a lot of people went to jail and they become a greatest practitioner, Mahasiddha. So for us, we don't have maybe that kind of a danger, but fear is real, depression is real, stress is real, and as a practitioner, we're supposed to utilize this every moment and kind of remind, like I was joking with Susie last night. She gets a message, ding, right? Every time I sent, then I was joking to her and sending a lot of stickers. I can hear ding, ding. Yeah, I was not disturbed, but I was like very funny. So that's what practitioners should be, right? Like every thought arises, ding. But then disappears, right? That sound of a thing doesn't stay there forever. So that is, unstoppable feeling of thoughts, like Namanikaya, constantly arise. You cannot stop your thoughts, but what you can stop is fixation. And what does that mean? I just only follow the teachings. What does that mean? Like stop fixation basically means totally ignore. No big deal. Okay, there's feeling arise. Just if you don't pay attention to thoughts, that doesn't mean that you are not lost. You are not lost. You are aware that, but when they arise, you don't pay attention to them, and that's how you can have confidence in the meditation. And if you don't have confidence in the meditation, and if you think that meditation makes you peaceful, and then always look for the environment about peacefulness, outer, like if there's a little, noises and bothers you, and everything will bother you. We become so sensitive. I also go through that a lot. I become very sensitive, and it's like everything bothers you, right? Because you feel like you take everything so real. But as a meditator, we try to follow the great, the instruction of great masters by always stating that it's okay to have thoughts. You cannot stop thoughts, but you can also utilize them. So Sambhogakaya and Dhammakaya, pure lands. Prophecies concern the secret lands say that if we need to go there, we will first come to great river that no one can cross. So how can we get to the other side? On the bank of the river is a great tree that no one can cut down except with a crystal axe that lies at its base. To cross the river, we first must cut down the tree with the crystal axe, then use it as a bridge to cross over to the Namanikaya, Sambhogakaya, and Dhammakaya pure lands. This does not mean traveling to some other place. The river is the great river of samsara, and the great tree is the tree of ego clinging, which we must cut down with the crystal axe of pranjana. Of course, a crystal axe could not cut down a tree. Rather, this axe is the antidote that destroys ego clinging. If we cut down the tree of ego clinging with this antidote, we then can cross the river of samsara and arrive at the pure lands. There we can all develop great experience and superior realization and enjoy great happiness. Khenpo Khenpo gave this teaching concern the secret lands to many people who then developed experience and realization. Some of them were later thrown in the into prison. However, because of their realization, they did not experience much mental suffering or physical hardship. Such experience and realization was due to the great kindness of Khenpo Khenpo. So I want to read that because, there's so much blessing there by Jeju Tongmuche. And then I want to share this supplication to Khenpo Khenpo by the great master Tengu Chinse Rinpoche, previous Tengu Chinse Rinpoche. Talk about, one verse, talk about his qualities. Having perfected learning, the pinnacle of scholarship, having perfected experience and realization, knowing the inner suchness, having perfected the benefit of others, meaningful in every connection, to the feet of Chanchu Doje. Actually, that is a part of his name. And another name for Khenpo Khenpo is Chanchu Doje. Awakening Vajra. I offer this supplication. So I think what we normally learn, when you learn about master's biography or like teachings, and it has to connect with our troubling mind. If you don't connect with our mind, I think we can be inspired by these teachings, we can quote that, but if it doesn't connect inwardly, I think it can be pretty dry, And so that's why sometimes you feel like, you want to do meditation, and then there's a sense of laziness and a sense of almost like, what's the word, obligated, because you are a practitioner and I must meditate, because such that, but until you may experience through sincerely, inherently, because you never look down on yourself or any others, especially yourself, because we all sometimes have that feeling like, oh no, I can't do meditation. I have, so much distraction. I have so much to do. I have a, lot of history about trauma, and I was like, I have depression, and so we basically bring a lot of history, and then we kind of, the history is past. It has nothing to connect with your real life or real mind, at the moment. So that's why, as a meditator, and it is very important to remember that our troubled mind is only the surface or relative level, but it has it's a little bit of a secret for us because we don't believe it. When you don't believe in meditation, and then I think it's very hard to also believe in visualization and other practice. So that's maybe why laziness takes over, not able to do daily practice. Did I say that? I said that, yeah. Because when you maybe experience a little bit, like my teacher Khenpo used to say, it is essential to have some experience of meditation, like recognition before you die, so then you won't have to worry about when you die. And that is not so much to do with the history, because history is in the past. It doesn't matter how your practice has been in the past, but it's all about how you utilize, now. And I also would like to share a story about Khenpo Khenpo, because Khenpo Khenpo is wow, that's auspicious, because it's Khenpo Khenpo there. Wow. It's a story that my teacher Khenpo Rinpoche shared, and Khenpo Khenpo was from Chechen, a Nima monastery. And because I wrote this book, it's all the collection story about individuals or some, masters. But this book is actually kind of his son's come up, he's collecting all the Tibetan writings, and I was very inspired and fortunate that his son's come up collected this Tibetan version into his, what's the word, iStore, iBooks, ebooks, yeah, ebooks. So he must seen something special because Khenpo taught it. So it's called Siddhas of Ga. I'm not trying to promote my book because I don't earn nothing from here, not a penny. It's sold in KTD, it's benefit. So today is a money payment story, right? It's not a money story. Yeah, I hope some of my jokes would work, I know. Speaking of a joke, I do want to also pray for Chuck Norris. Right? I understand because I used to really talk about in a lot of the jokes that related with him, and I know he passed away yesterday, and I really did prayer because I feel like there's a connection, and I did Amitabha mantra yesterday, while I was driving. Yeah, so there's that relationship. And I even post on my Facebook and my WhatsApp group, say, please pray for him. I know it's not easy, once you pass, you have to go to the Pado, and I really meant it, we pray for, for him. And so this book is, once again, I go back to the subject, is that Khenpo Rinpoche talks some stories in here that has nothing to do with the reincarnation, that has nothing to do with emanation of such, and that has to do with someone suffering like ourselves and cannot bear their suffering, and then they utilize that suffering and become the greatest realized masters. So which means that for us, we are in samsara. I know when we ask people, how are you, and everybody would say, oh, I'm good. But in the end, it is if I use the word unfortunate, that we are in samsara, and there's always a lot of unpredictable and sudden things happens. Change happens, suffering happens. But as a practitioner, when you encounter those and utilize for meditation or compassion or renunciation, that's how you can really shine, with your practice. So in this story that, some of the, even like a Tibetan nomadic person who doesn't even know how to read Tibetan, or letters or such, but he or she suffer and then go to a master and teach meditation and become enlightened. So this is very inspiring. So one of the stories, the Khenpo Kansha, and I kind of every story starts with homage, because every master that Khenpo Rinpoche shared the story has very significant, teaching and very special. So I always start with the homage and then dedication. So the homage is the clean face of wisdom present from the beginning, we concealed by dirt and unseen by anyone. You washed it and the spot with the water of Mahamudra and Dzogchen, and bejeweled it with Trikaya. I bow to you. So Khenpo Kansha was born at Shechen in Kham. He was descended from Adru Da Ramjampa. It's a very scholarly, Adru Da Ramjampa, who was a disciple of 8th Thai Sturmbu Sudpa Chuchi Juni. When the Gelupa monastery Ladong Tashi Chi asked the Thai Stupa to send his disciple Belo Tseung Kenchao. Belo Tseung Kenchao is very scholarly, very accomplished master. He wrote a lot of retreat manuals, that we use in 3 retreat. So Belo Tseung Kenchao there, he sent Adro instead. This led to a lineage of instruction based on the Thai Sudhu's great. How do you pronounce Exegesis? Ex-Jesus? I don't know that there's ex-Jesus. Sorry, ex-Jesus. Because I have a friend, we always make joke about, because he's just like Jesus, he has like long hair. grandma at Ladong Tashi Chil that still exists today. Ado was a tantrika, not a monastic, and therefore had descendants. Among them was Khenpo Lodru Ravsal of Shechin, who was a nephew of Shechin Gyatso Rinpoche. Khenpo Konsha was Khenpo Lodru Ravsal's nephew. Khenpo Lodru Ravsal was a teacher of Jebji Tong Rinpoche and Khenpo Rinpoche when they were in Dhamma school. And there are stories about Khenpo Lodru Ravsal because his friends of the Shechin monastery, others said that, wow, Khenpo Lodru Ravsal was very scholarly, but when he went to Tong monastery and after he, entered there like few years, he became very realized master because he was very, very, special for meditation. And Khenpo Rinpoche used to share about Khenpo Lodru Ravsal, and sometimes like he does a lot of Lama dancing, privately, and then when people come, and he just stop and say, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, I see some Lama dancing in Kappa land of Guru Rinpoche." So he had all those visions. So Khenpo Konsha is nephew of Khenpo Lodru Ravsal. Khenpo Konsha's parents had many sons and daughters, but they all died. For that reason, on the day after his birth, his father gave him to a relative. When he later learned to speak, he clearly described his father bringing him to the relative, including the mountains they passed on their journey and what he was wearing at the time. There were other extraordinary signs as well. One day there was a great snowfall and many birds gathered, picking at seeds. Khenpo Konsha threw a large flat rock from the roof of his home, crashing many birds underneath. When his mother scolded him, he immediately went outside and lifted up the stone, and all the birds flew off unharmed. He has some special qualities. From an early age, he did wondrous things. He soon went to Shechin Monastery, where he studied reading, writing, and other subjects with his uncle, Khenpo Lodru Ravsal. From there, he went to college at Katho Monastery, where he completed his studies under the guidance of Khenpo Nudin. Khenpo Konsha was an extremely gentle person and in particular upheld the Vinaya in an exemplary manner. He had all the qualities of the holy. The 11th Trungpa Rinpoche went to Shechin Monastery. In order to study afterward, he spoke to Khenpo Lodru Ravsal of the lack of Khenpo for the college at Samon Detsutil Monastery. He insistently asked the Khenpo Konsha be sent there. Khenpo Lodru Ravsal acceded to his request and wept with wonder, saying, "It is amazing that you are already taking on such great responsibility for the teachings." Trungpa Rinpoche was only 14 at the time. So Khenpo Konsha went to Samon Detsutil after he had been there for about 2 years. He became extremely ill and passed away. While Khenpo Konsha was in Samadhi, Trungpa Rinpoche kept a vigil in the room. Khenpo Konsha's remains were behind a curtain with Trungpa Rinpoche eventually lifted in order to view his teacher's body. Khenpo Konsha was seated upright in meditation, but when the curtain was lifted, a breeze struck his face. He blinked and arose from Samadhi. Well, that was scary, right? He was already past a few days, then all of a sudden, blink his eye. Maybe I'm watching too much YouTube, sometimes. I think this is very special because, he was in meditation, and it's always kind of, brings me the memory of my teacher, Khenpo Kanta Rinpoche, and when he passed away 2019. And Rinpoche was in meditation for a whole week. And because that's why the meditation so matters for, it's not so much to do with Rinpoche or such, and even though you're an ordinary person, like can have a lot of emotions and stress, but maybe, due to the blessing of the lineage and the root guru, maybe you click on something, right? Maybe you click your mind, one day you are just so pissed off, could be with your family, right? And just like, oh, I can't believe this is happening, and then as a practitioner, maybe you, oh, wait a minute, and then maybe you sense something, nature, and then, there's that maybe glimpse of experience, and then what your mind would say, oh, I can be liberated. My mind can be liberated, not with the happiness or joy or such, but also emotions. Because there's another gentleman, he was a former monk of Tong Monastery and, escaped from Tibet, and later he situated in Kathmandu, Nepal. And he had some illness, and, the doctor said he won't, survive. But he was very dedicated practitioner. He did mainly the 4 sessions of Guru Yoga by 8th Kamapa. And then when he passed away, his whole face became really radiant. And then before he passed away, he asked his family to sit up, just to, put me up. So then he passed away like that, without much suffering. And maybe one day he was in meditation. So my point here is that maybe not only Rinpoches or such, but those of us who are fortunate to receive teachings about Mahamudra and Dzogchen and also preliminary Hundu practice, we all have that opportunity. So never feel that we are not qualified, So back to the story, Khenpo Rinpoche was in meditation, and so we had a few lamas there to check, whenever he finished, and then we will do cremation. And so Lama Tashi from Toronto, and then Lopanla is a Vajra master from Tong Monastery, and they're constantly checking. And I remember, when he passed away, I just has to look at, one more time. So, I just couldn't believe that Rinpoche's, I should believe, his face was, it's just so beautiful, it was like radiant, but also like so youthful. And I think I expressed this before, that he has between his eyes, there's, what do you call it? Mole. It's kind of a little white color. And it was so precise, almost like really, it's like jewel. And even he passed away, and generally, I get to go few people who passed away, in a kind of at the time of death, and you can see the expression changes, and the nose and such. But Rinpoche was just very special, of course, Khenpo Rinpoche. And so this case, Khenpo Gangshar just arose from death, and I know, like a lot of people might say, oh, he became zombie, but he wasn't, zombie stories, like really it happened in Tibet a lot. Like that's why, thank you so much. I drink a lot of water, and in Tibet, like especially central Tibet, there's a lot. Zombie was very common, and that's why they built the house. It's much lower because zombies, they don't bend, right? So they're really, they come, but they cannot. They just bump, and then and yeah, so they can't lower their head. So they purposely built like that. But this is totally different, He said, so this said by Khenpo Gangshar after, he said, my karmic lifespan is completed. I encountered Njanga Kontu Yenti Jamso and Njanga Jayon Chinse Wamba after my death. They have sent me back to complete the liberation of the remaining disciples. In addition, I'm the final emanation among the 108 Tibetans prophesied by Guru Rinpoche. Most Tibetans reveal statues, books, and scepters from mountains and rocks. I'm unlike them. This is the one point, so precise. I must reveal the treasure of the tree Kaya by directly pointing out through instruction the treasure like Sugata Garbha or Buddha nature that lies hidden in everyone's mind. Okay, so we all have that. Very soon the times will change. There will be no leisure for, now it's a prediction about the Tibetan, for the practice of preliminaries. Having said that, Khenpo Gangshar directly pointed out the nature to whomever he met. By means of Mahamudra and Dzogchen of necessity, he even accepted a consort. Once he convened a great Ganachakra, saying, this is another meditator's, opportunity. Like when normally, when we have pujas and there's the Ganachakra, there's like cookies and chocolate, all of this, and when we eat the tso, the feast, and everybody, wow, that tastes good, Some say, oh, this is like a different and thinking made from such, but Ganachakra basically means that, personally, this 4 lines says, Zeshin Zedi, Tambuchindala Tetsun Samara, Tamse Chotun Dobro means, think of the deities. You cannot doubt about what you are eating, It's that it's the Brahma versus pigs. What is the definition of Brahma? They are very clean. Pigs, they don't have much thoughts. So what really saying is that, when you eat Ganachakra and you, instead of explaining about how they taste, you're supposed to meditate, whatever tastes your eyes. And so as a meditator, you may have all this feast of, all kind of taste of emotions, right? All these different emotions. Sometimes even people characterized as different colors, right? Like blue color, or I feel green. I don't know this red color. Even what's the called? Stickers have, if angry, it's like the red color, right? And then you are happy, all this. What the point is that, whatever feeling you arise, consider as a feast and luxury, and then you utilize that. I really do think, how do I, who don't care about what I think? And people can be good practitioners if you are suffering. Really, never think that you will be a good practitioner, everything goes well. No, you won't. I guarantee that. But if you're suffering physically and mentally, emotions, and that's where you really, kind of defines whether you're a practitioner or not, In addition, okay, very soon the time will change. There will be okay. Once he convened a great Ganachakra saying, we will need the feast substance described in the Tantras. Yeah, I know this story is very interesting, but the corpse of a small child was brought from a distance of 3 days' journey, and excrement and so forth were gathered. Khenpo Gangshar announced, whoever tastes this feast substance will achieve the state of Vajra in this life. So That's why all the Tilopa and Naropa, they are mostly, situated in, like cemeteries, because they wear the bone ornaments of the corpse, and of course they never harm to any sentient beings, especially connecting the bone ornaments, from the corpse and kind of make a connection with them. So there's no like good or bad, So another word like thoughts, good, bad, everything is equal in primordial wisdom. Whoever tastes this feast substance will achieve the state of Vajradhara in this life. Everyone believed what he said and enjoyed the feast with devotion. Not only did they perceive the feast as disgusting, they found it to have an amazingly fine taste and fragrance. All of the monastics and laity who partook of the feast had from then on little craving for the world. They delighted only in the practice of meditation. In addition, that area became free from illness of both humans and livestock, and it became more prosperous. There were amazing signs. He finished soon. Whenever he went, Khenpo Khenpo bestowed guidance on the mind. He visited Tang Monastery for 2 days and gave instructions on the mind to about 500 monks. My kind Guru, that's referring to my teacher Khenpo Rinpoche, was there then, has told me as soon as I saw him, I was overwhelmed by the feelings of devotion as intense as if meeting a Mahasiddha such as Tilopa or Naropa. Khenpo Khenpo taught that since Gatagrabha is present within everyone's mind, we need to look directly at the nature of our minds using Mahamudra and Dzogchen. He taught that looking at one's mind is extremely convenient. You don't have to travel anywhere. You don't have to use any cards to order on Amazon. Right? It is no costs. Even when undergoing the hardships brought by the changing times, what we soon to come, looking at one's mind would be easier than any other form of practice. He also strongly advised those he taught to abstain from any violent resistance against the communist occupation, because he knew that the Chinese will occupy Tibet, and if you try to fight them, you lose your lives. And so there's a picture of him and Tumpa Rinpoche kind of doing this, 2 hands, which means that we surrender. Khenpo Khenpo taught that since Sagatagapa is present, I did. He gave instruction on the mind to everyone he met. He would begin by directly describing each person's individual faults. His knowledge of their faults caused everyone to feel unfabricated devotion. Then he would point out the nature of their mind. His compassion and blessing were so great that most of those who met him were liberated on the spot. The instruction on the mind that he gave to a retreat master of Tongva Monastery was to say to him, first turn your back to this column, now turn to face it, now turn your back to it again. So this was, when Khenpo Rinpoche was in a retreat, one of his, his retreat master received this instruction from Khenpo Khenpo. The retreat master did this. Khenpo Khenpo then asked him, do you understand? The retreat master answered, I do. So all he did was just, facing back and forth a column. Years later, my kind Guru asked the retreat master, what did he mean? The retreat master told him, what he meant is very easy to understand. The meaning of turning my back to the column was that through not realizing the unity of things and their nature, we turn our backs on it, which means that we try to, when we do meditation, we try to find a meditation apart from thoughts, somewhere else, like, utilize something else to try to subdue, just to go somewhere else beyond thoughts or somewhere. The meaning of turning my back to the column was that through not realizing the unity of things and their nature, we turn on backs on it. My then facing the column was a symbol of a unity of things and their nature. My once again turning my back to the column was a symbol that through correctly realizing that unity, one turns one's back on samsara. Khenpo Gangshar gave me many such skillful pointing out instructions. He continued to act in this way for more than a year. Then he sent his consort back to her family and returned to Shechi Monastery, where he resumed his former modest demeanor and observance of this Vinaya. Then the change in times of which he had spoken occurred. He, Kembolodu Russell, Shechi Count Rinpoche, and others were imprisoned, unfortunately. In Tatsendo, it's a part of Kham area. It appears that he passed away there. So that is a story that I recorded from Khenpo Rinpoche, and then dedication says, yogis, we are yogis and yoginis, right? Nanjulpa and Nanjulma. I hope I'm not saying too much repeated jokes. My cat's name is Yogi. Yeah, so sometimes I have, Zoom teaching, and every time I say Yogi, he would say meow. We adopted him from one shelter, and, my wife and I went there to find a cat, and there were so many cats, and they are so friendly, the little cat's so cute. But Yogi was in a cage, and he was very aggressive. They said that, this cat will attack every other cat. And so I felt sense of, what's the word, pity, because he's suffering, must be suffering. If someone's very aggressive, whether it's a people or animal, there's a lot of suffering going on. And so I look into his eyes, like, he is so beautiful. And one eye has a lot of tears, a lot of water coming out, because they said that he was with another 7 cats owned by an individual who was also suffering himself and kind of abused the cats. So his eye was damaged. And so I said, I want to take this cat, And so we took him into home, and he was so scared. Right, he was so scared. So when people are, sometimes very aggressive, it's never, whether it's your family members or friends, and that means they have a lot of fear or suffering. And as a practitioner, we, try to describe, instead of what's going on with you, what's wrong with you, right? So you try to think of, he or she is going through something really, suffering. And so Yogi turned out, he's so gentle. He's the best, calm individual in the house. He never scratched once to my son or myself. He's just so gentle, I always, I just try and kiss him and hug him. I don't like this, but he never scratched. So gentle. And I never seen like cat. I mean, I didn't have too many cats, but you know, the description was he was very aggressive, but so I trained him. He was outdoor cat, and I trained him indoor cat, and then I had a dog leash, put on his neck, and then walk with dog. I mean, not, the cat, and it was walking, but because he was outdoor cat, he was really suffering a lot, and he trying to escape, and he was so not happy at all, and then I was a little bit worried that I let him go, but when he goes out, it's another level, right? He's just trying to bring a lot of gifts to us. It's like, ow. I mean, it's just, huh? Oh, I did. And he always knew how to take it off. Always knew. But, that I will do that constantly. So why I said that yogi thing, so where that's come from? It's a yogi, yeah. Yogi in Tibetan, Nalanjur. So Nalanjur means, Nal means your nature, and as I mentioned earlier, that it's just present for 24 hours. It's just most inexhaustible jewel that individuals can have. Inexhaustible, because any time of the day, any time of the condition, whether it's a good condition or bad condition, and what doesn't matter, maybe you are looking, going through what's the Facebook or YouTube or something, kind of frustrated you really bad, and but your nature doesn't separate from you, so it's inexhaustible. So now means the actual primordial wisdom, and then Joro means you are mastered with that. You are empowered with that, which means that emotions arise, feelings arise, and you are not carried by that. But on the other hand, I think when we say that I had a bad day, we all go through that. I go through that a lot as a family person. And it's not just like bad day, but it's just as long as we are lost for like whole morning or whole day, we basically, unfortunately, consistently gather accumulation of negative karma when your mind is not controlled. Because as long as we are distracted or by emotions, and mostly, I'm taking myself as an example, and mostly not so nice things to think, right? It's mostly like frustrated or agitated, all of this, and those are like negative emotions, and we become very sensitive. So it's not just I had a bad day, but it's a consistent or gathering accumulation of negative karma. So that's why it is so important to convince oneself and really take the meditation seriously. And meditation is, I'm only talk about what they taught. It's about, in Tibetan called kiche kiche, excuse me. It's instant and instant. How do you say kiche kiche ma? Moment by moment. Moment by, I like that. Thank you so much. The moment by moment, It's not about like a history or such. One moment you are totally gone, then maybe you caught yourself. One moment you can be liberated. So any time of the day, any time of the situation. So if we don't take advantage, if we don't take it the opportunity, I think then it's hard to become a good meditator or good practitioner. Because once I think if someone, through the blessing of gurus, whether it's not so much to do with meditation as well. Maybe you are doing hundu practice, you are doing prostration, and you may be able to, instead of like complaining about how much prostration you have to do or vajrasattva or mandala, and maybe you so grateful, so happy that we are still alive and able to do practice, and that through delightful mind, maybe you are able to have some experience of the blessing. And so that is a little story about Khenpo culture, because it's kind of typical how you, in Tibetan tradition, that when you teach something, in Dhamma school, I was in Dhamma school for something like 5 years, and before I came here, so I'm a big deal. So I remember when I was in Dhamma school and finished it, and 5 years, like not much, but and then I was leading a rainy season retreat at a very sacred place at Tanga Monastery, near Tanga Monastery, known as Princess Wanchin Temple. And then Chaji Trangrum visited, and I remember so clearly Rinpoche was there, and I had some questions about. I was learning about the 3 vows, and I was teaching that to several monks, and asked some questions. Rinpoche was very, very kind, and so then when Rinpoche left, then one of the senior monk said that, oh, Trangrum Rinpoche wants you to go to America, like be Khenpo Rinpoche's attendant. That's how it happened, But my I always lose my point. My point here is that whenever you give a teaching, you first think, talk about the greatness of author, and then you talk about the actual teaching. So that is Khenpo conscious. So Khenpo conscious didn't have too many collection of teachings, but there's one volume, and they are all realization songs. And so today is the song of Omani Pimi Hong. So I would like to read reading transmission first, before I explain it. So reading transmission means that I will read through, and then you all listen to the sound that, I received the transmission from Chaji Trangrum Rinpoche, and when you hear the sound, you all received the transmission. So when you, in the future, when you read this song, and when you, sing these songs, and you have that blessing, directly, I wouldn't say directly, indirectly, of Khenpo conscious blessing. And there's melody I also use when you chant. Manangoyo Jozo Mane Bime Honsha, to the Zolang Agent of Anaranji, Yamamanda, Kaya Hain Donayo Sangaja, Jondo Tawandangare, Labodo Godonga de Yarenga Kaya Hain Madejo, Sangaja, Mina, Aink Nimbo, Kai Mai, Donayo San Tado Gondo Tawandangare, and Hamitaji Donga de Yaren. Kai Mai, Madojo, Santado Mina Mai, Nimbo, Kai Nay, Donayo Sandeja, Jondo Tawandangare, Matemo. Yarenga Kaya Ma Kaya Nay Madojo Sandeja Mina Nay, Nimbo, Kai P, Donayo, Santamagon, the Tawandangare, Rotundo, Linkage Donga de Yarenga, Kai P, Madojo, Santamana, P, Ganimbo, Kai May, Donayo. Sansana on the Tawandangare, Droya, Tegoji Donga de Yarenga, Kai May, Madojo, Sansana Mina May, Ganimbo, and Kaya in Dona. Sansha Dongo on the Tawandangare, Nava, Satongo Donga de Yarenga, Kaya, Madojo, Sankanam, and Animal. Kaya Shui Dona Yon, and Jidonga Javanangare, and Hijate, Sana Mebena, Dia Katsakano, Jutone, the language, and Namin Yosayara. Kaya Tray, Madonjo, Sana Agent, Baba Genes, Jagomba, Kadejan Rob, Sutunga Kola Magro, non Yishinga, or Kolo de Jindo Kola, Chinyamo, Tenamadon, not Tommy, Doji Tema, the Gender Donor. Cholujo Kologonayo, no Noinga Kologone, the Cholujo Tema Donayo, no Zanga Tema Donet. Non doja lago bonen and Jaya Lago Jimban and Jedon, La Jane, the Dalet Dupajon, Dambaka, Chichatongo Doi, Marco, no Danzi, Dogo, Samola, Tay Shitogan to Duku, Mando to Sanje Tobra show. Thank you, Stephen, for putting the translation and transliteration together. So it's very handy. So maybe we can read the translation first before we sing songs. You can manifest on Zoom. Maybe Teresa, I can lead it, right? So I try to pronounce my Tibetan English. Amani Pime Hong. These days, sentient beings with negative karma are not taming the kleshas in their minds. Though they recite the syllable Om, their minds fall under the power of pride. It makes you want to weep. The God suffering of dying and falling, how miserable. But even if you don't recite Om, a mind without pride is the essence of Om. Though they recite the syllable Ma, their minds fall under the power of envy. It makes you want to weep. The jealous God suffering of the fighting and the quarreling. How miserable. But even if you don't recite Ma, a mind that without envy is the essence of Ma. Though they recite the syllable Ni, their minds fall under the power of desire. It makes you want to weep. The suffering of human dissatisfaction, how miserable. But even you don't recite Ni, a mind without desire is the essence of Ni. Through they recite the syllable Pe, power of ignorance, it makes you want to weep. The suffering of animals, stupidity, how miserable. But even you don't recite mind without ignorance is the essence of Pe. Oh, there is this.
Their minds fall under the power of stinginess. It makes you want to weep. The hungry ghost suffering, how miserable. How miserable. But even if you don't recite May, a mind without
Stinginess is the essence of May. Though they recite the syllable Home, their minds fall under the power of anger. It makes you want to weep.
A mind without anger is the essence.
How miserable. But even if you don't recite Home, a mind without anger is the essence of Home. Though they recite the syllable Creed,
Sentient beings are bound up in suffering. It makes you want to weep.
lacking compassion, one group fights with another, experiencing the full ripening of negative karma. How miserable. But even if you don't recite Creed,
Compassion rests in the mind.
it is the intent of noble Abba Viteshvara.
May all fortunate beings not turn the outer wheel of the five poisons, but always turn the inner wheel of the five wisdoms. May they not count with the outer blackmail of kleshas, but always count with the inner Vajra mala. While they turn the outer wheel of the body, they are turning the inner wheel of distraction, while outward they count with the mala of the body. Inwardly they are counting with the mala of negative thoughts. Having abandoned the inner Vajra temple, they build external temples, abandon them to suffering, and make it hard to aspire to purify karma, the enemy, instead of externally carving the letters of desire and anger. Internally carve the meaning of the six syllables of the sixth wisdom into the hands of beings not cycle and six realms made their ancient Buddhahood. Okay, let's sing. Okay. Maybe you can listen to me first, see how the melody is a little bit complicated. No, I'm not nervous. No. Amane beme wanje teten so lenge jendro wana ranje jenyamo mende wa kaye oyin jona ya sanga je wonde tonde rendro Labo doyen godong oende yare nga kaye oye madon jo sanga ja mina oye kenyembo ye kaye maye dona Santa doiga wande dawande ngare tro lame taze jodongande yare nga kaye maye madon joy Santa do mena maye kanyimboye Kaye naye dana yon sende je wande dawande ngurendro maje boye dungante yare nga kaye naye madonjo Sande jo mena ne nyimbo yen kaye pe dona yo sande me wanda to wande ngare dendo lengo jo dongande yare nga Kayen be madon joy sentem mena be ganyem boy kaye me dona yo I lost here. It's a little bit complicated because the some are very long. Now I'm lost. Sansana wande dawande ngarendro yedo eche kainje dongande yare nga kaye me madonjo Sanse na me ke nyembo nye kaye oye dona yo sanse na nge wande donde ngare troy nyawa tsadro ge donde yare nga Kaye huye madon joy sanshe no mena oye ganyembo ye kaye jaye dona yo senje donga la jawa ndengurendro Ninje de salame be na de ya ga ga non jon chone da lengen jo no me nyon se ya re nga ka ye je gomba ye kaden jandra pomo no chetung kolo magora na ye shing ave kolo de jende kola jo chenya mo je chena ya me wa na do me do je chen wa de jende la sho chelo je kolo go na yo na na ye ga kolo go ne da chelo je chen wa I don't na sang je wa da ne da na do je la gon bo ne na che ye la gon je ba de zhen je da la ja ne da Dale draba javan damba ga che chadong doye ma gowa na dan je do go samo la de shin to ge and go Mandro sanje tabara sho mandro sanje tabara sho mandro sanje tabara sho mandro sanje tabara sho. So we rest in that very moment, few minutes. Now, this very place, this very presence, and this very seat. Just drop heavy emotions, feelings, simply rest in this presence of primordial wisdom. Even though Khenpo Gangshar is no longer physically in his songs and his presence of wisdom within this song, so we can rest its way in very nature. Whatever we are feeling, either in the past or future, this very moment, presence, is utterly pure, innocent, always liberated. Now, nowness. right. I'm very good with schedule, but 1 minute late. Schedule is 11:30. So dedicate merit of this morning session for the benefit of all sentient beings, especially what's going on in the world. We sincerely pray for all those victims of children, the women, and all this, unfortunate tragedy happening in this world. Our prayer matters, collective prayer matters, and we sincerely pray for them and those of us who are teaching or learning about Khenpo conscious may be able to give rise to nature of mind and liberate all sentient beings. Sonam daya damje seba. Tone nipa dana bamze ne jega nanja bala. Chubaya seba zol. Doganya dosho. Thank you. Thank you. I should do this way.